We're still in the early going of the 2023 season, but so far we've seen some teams get off to surprising starts, whether that's a hot start or a cold start. There's also a few teams that we're still a bit unsure of. In this video, I take a deeper look into those teams and tell you whether or not I think they're for real or not. Let's get to it. Okay, here we go. So for this video, I'm going to be using Tier Maker. I have 3 tiers: for real, on the fence, and not for real. And here are the teams I'm going to be discussing: the Pirates, the Cubs, Cardinals, Guardians, Rangers, Mariners, Angels, Diamondbacks, Orioles, Marlins, and my Red Sox. We got to start off with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have been extremely fun this year. They actually just beat the Nationals at the time of recording this video, just improved their record to 19-8, over a 700 win percentage. Who saw that coming with this Pirates team, where they're in the middle of a rebuild? Well, it looks like with how they're playing, it looks like they're done with this rebuild. They're good to go. But this Pirates team is really fun right now. Let's talk about the offense first. You got what I like about the offense is that you have a bunch of different kinds of bats. You got some guys that can hit for power. You got some guys that can hit for average. You got some guys that can hit lefties better, righties better. You got a lot of speed in this lineup as well. Looking at the statistics here, the Pirates rank 7th overall in WRC+. They're 6th in weighted on-base average, and they're 4th in expected weighted on-base average. And when it comes to the ISO percentage, or their ability to hit for extra base hits, they are 5th overall. And like I said, this is a fast team. They're 1st in stolen bases, and when it comes to just the overall speed of the team, they rank 1st, and they're 3rd in creating runs on the bases. This is a great team right now when it comes to the offense. I'm loving what they're doing. When it comes to the starting pitching, you got Keller, you got Hill, you got Velasquez, you got Oviedo, and you got Roansy Contreras. Coming into the year, it was a decent looking rotation. Keller had a decent 2022 season. Oviedo and Contreras, these are guys that have a lot of upside, and Rich Hill and Velasquez, a couple of veteran guys. The starting pitching has been very solid so far. When it comes to the Fangraph WAR, they rank 11th on the year. When it comes to the xFIP and the FIP, they are going to be a little further back. They're 15th in xFIP and 13th in FIP. And as for the Sierra, they are 14th overall. What I like about Sierra is it's very similar to ERA. It's also very similar to FIP and xFIP in terms of what a pitcher can control, like strikeouts, walks, home runs allowed. But what I like about Sierra is that it accounts for the types of balls that are falling into play, whether that's fly balls, ground balls, line drives, home runs as well. So I really like the Sierra stat. It's a good projection-based number, I believe, and I think it's a bit more accurate when it comes to giving you a projection of what a pitcher is going to look like. I think if these guys can just keep making their starts, they stay healthy, I think it's going to be a decent rotation for the rest of the year. And then you got someone like a Quinn Priester, down in the minor leagues that can come up and, get a spot start or two. As for the bullpen, I like the bullpen. I love David Bednar. He's one of the best relievers in the game. I really like Holderman. I like Stevenson. I like Dwayne Underwood Jr. And as for the relief pitching so far this year, they're 6th in Fangraph WAR. They're 4th in FIP. They're 11th in xFIP, so that does fall back a little bit. And they are 16th in Sierra. So overall, in my opinion, I like the starting pitching. I like the relief pitching. And when it comes to the expected numbers, they're middle of the pack. So I think if they can just do enough and this offense can keep doing what they're doing, providing the variety of power, of base hits, of speed, I think this is going to be a really pesky team for the rest of the year. Pesky might be shortchanging them a little bit. This team looks really good right now, all the way around. For me, I'm going to consider the Pirates for real. I'm going to get off to a hot start here. I'm really liking what the Pirates are doing so far this year. Let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. Coming into this year, they had good talent on this team, a team that I think was definitely capable of winning anywhere from 80 to 85 games. But right now, they're off to a really good start, and this team is really looking pretty decent. When you look at the offense, I love this offense, to be completely honest with you. Horner at the top, he brought in Swanson. Ian Happ has always been a really solid bat. Sai Suzuki coming back this year. Cody Bellinger was a big one. You weren't really sure what he was going to do, but he's off to a really hot start. He has been fantastic this year. Mancini, Hosmer, 2 veteran guys, what are they going to be able to provide? But you got the power bat of a Patrick Wisdom. I like this lineup overall, and the numbers are really showing it. When it comes to WRC+, the Cubs, as of right now, are 2nd overall, but when it comes to more of an expected number, they're 8th in expected weighted on base. So when it comes to this Cubs offense, they're not only just looking good right now, but the expected numbers are looking very good as well. So I think this lineup is going to keep being strong for the rest of the year. And, to me, the starting pitching, I do feel like they're lacking like a top guy at the top of this rotation, but they're getting the job done right now with Stroman, Steele, Smiley, Wesneski. These guys have been, and you also have Jamison Tyone as well, but he's on the IL right now with a strained groin. If we take a look at the numbers here, they're 10th overall in starting pitching Fangraph WAR. They're 9th in FIP, they're 10th in XFIP, and they're 11th in Sierra. So this team right now it's an above average starting pitching staff. I like what they're doing, but this bullpen right now is actually looking pretty solid. Fulmer at the back end. You got Boxberger. You got Leiter Jr. here, has been doing great lately. Alzolay is someone that has really good stuff. Overall, this bullpen is getting the job done. When you take a look at the numbers, now they're only 17th in Fangraph WAR when it comes to relief pitching, but they're 12th in FIP, they're 8th in XFIP, and they're 5th in Sierra. So while they may not be ranking as well right now in Fangraph WAR, the projected numbers are painting a good picture for this Cubs team. So for me, I think this offense is really good. I think the starting pitching, sure, I think they're lacking like a top of the rotation kind of a guy that you will need for the playoffs. And the bullpen, I think, is getting the job done, and the projections look pretty good for them as well. I think this Cubs team is for real. I think this is a team that's going to be hanging around for the division. I think they're going to be hanging around for a wild card spot. I would not be surprised at all if they make the playoffs. There's a lot of talent on this team, and the numbers are showing it. I think they're for real. Now let's talk about a team that is off to a very cold start, the St. Louis Cardinals, 10-17. Who would have thought this? This Cardinals team is really good, a lot of talent on this team, and this is not the start that people were expecting, but I think there are some good signs for this Cardinals team. This lineup is absolutely fantastic. This lineup has been getting the job done. Sure, they did send down Jordan Walker to get some more consistent at-bats down in the minor leagues, but this lineup right now is fantastic. I mean, just look at the numbers here. They're 4th in WRC plus, and they're 5th in xWOBA. I don't think you need to worry about this Cardinals lineup. It's a deep lineup. You got good bats all the way around. You got power in here, guys that can hit for average. You got speed in this lineup as well. They're 12th in stolen bases this year. I really like what this offense is providing so far this year. Now, the weak point of this team has been the starting pitching, and the numbers don't look good for the starting pitching. They're 25th overall in Fangraph WAR. They're 23rd in FIP. They're 19th in XFIP, and they're only 23rd in Sierra. So those numbers are a little worrisome to me. But when it comes to the Cardinals starting pitching, I feel like over the years, they've had just not amazing starting pitching, but it's been enough to get the job done. And that's where the next part of this team comes in, and that's the bullpen. This bullpen has actually been really good. If you take a look, they're 11th in Fangraph WAR when it comes to the relief pitching. They're 3rd in FIP, they're 1st in XFIP, and they're 3rd in Sierra. So this bullpen has been really stepping up. I love Helsley in the back. I love Gallegos. You got some other guys in here, like a hard-throwing Jordan Hicks. You got Zach Thompson from the left side in here. You got, Genesis Cabrera has been doing a great job from the left side. This bullpen is looking really good. So to me, sure, they're off to a really slow start, but this lineup is very deep. The bullpen has been stepping up. I think the starting pitching is going to end up, getting themselves right. Sure, the numbers don't look great right now. The projected numbers don't really look very good either, but I think they're going to be able to figure this out. In the end, for me, I think the Cardinals are for real. It's a slow start, but I think they're going to get themselves turned around. It's too talented of a team. If they don't get themselves turned around, I will be absolutely shocked. Let's shift gears and go to the AL Central and talk about the Cleveland Guardians. A lot of expectations for the Guardians coming into this year after making the playoffs last year, when not a lot of people thought they were going to make the playoffs, but a good-looking team coming into this year on paper. And looking at the lineup here, I love the lineup. I think it's a great-looking lineup. I love Kwan there. I love J-Ram in the middle. I love Bell. I thought that was a great addition for the Guardians this past offseason. Some other pieces like Rosario. You got Naylor in here. You added a Mike Zunino, where I would imagine his power is going to come back eventually. Andres Jimenez was an underrated player last year, but the numbers aren't looking very good with the Guardians right now. If you take a look at the WRC plus, they only rank 24th currently, and they're only 19th when it comes to the xWOBA. So the numbers don't look good right now. The projected numbers don't look amazing for the Guardians, so they're going to have to make some kind of adjustments to get some more runs across the board. But I do really like the starting pitching. I was a little worried about the starting pitching coming into this year. It looked a little thin to me, but they have been stepping up this year, and they've just been looking great. I love Bieber at the top. Now, you got a couple of other guys, a couple of younger guys that have come up this year. Logan Allen, Tanner Bibby has just came up recently. He's going to be starting against my Red Sox this weekend. But the starting pitching is looking really good. If we take a look at the numbers here, they are 9th in Fangraph WAR, and despite being 22nd in xFIP, they're 7th in FIP, and they're 6th in Sierra. The projected numbers look very good for the Guardians. I think this is going to be a strong rotation for the rest of the year. Now, last year, if you remember with the Guardians, a terrific bullpen. It's still a very good bullpen, don't get me wrong, but the numbers don't look very good right now for the Guardians. They're only 23rd in Fangraph WAR. They're 17th in FIP. When it comes to the xFIP and the Sierra, it does look a little better. They're 14th in xFIP and 13th in Sierra. Really talented bullpen. I think they're going to start getting into more of the top 10 when it comes to these numbers. This team is for real. I mean, they're going to be a competitive team. Will they be able to make the playoffs again? They're definitely more than capable. I do think they will be a competitive team. Sure, they're only 500 right now, but I think they're going to get it together. They're going to get it hot at some point. I think the Guardians, they're for real. Now let's go out to the American League West and talk about the Texas Rangers. Man, this team has been thumping this year so far. The offense has just been going crazy in some of these games. The starting pitching has been looking really good for the Texas Rangers. But let's talk about the offense first. Like I said, they have been driving in runs left and right. Marcus Semien is going off this year. Adolis Garcia had a historic game not too long ago. Nate Lowe, he's been doing a great job. Grossman's been playing really well lately. Just so many good bats. And they don't even have Corey Seager right now. That's the crazy thing, is they have just been going nuts with runs. And there's no Corey Seager. Are you kidding me? Offense, I'm not worried about this offense at all. This is a great offense, and the numbers say so as well. 3rd in WRC plus. They're 4th in WOBA, and they're 11th in expected WOBA. So sure, the expected WOBA is a little lower than where their WOBA is currently, but this is a really good offense. I would not want to face this lineup at all, especially when Corey Seager comes back. Now, the starting pitching, like I said, starting pitching has looked really good. DeGrom, the best pitcher on the planet when he's healthy, but some bad news for DeGrom. He left his last start early against the Yankees with forearm tightness. So they say it's precautionary. We're going to have to really wait and see on this one. I don't like it when you see a guy that has forearm tightness. Not liking that at all. So cross your fingers, Rangers fans, that it turns out to be nothing. But with Jacob DeGrom, you just don't know. You don't know what this is going to be. So he's been amazing for the Rangers so far. Let's see what ends up happening with him. Besides him, Eovaldi has been pretty decent. Martin Perez has been decent. Gray, he's been okay. Andrew Heaney's been looking really good, though. The starting pitching has been awesome, and here are the numbers so far this year. They're 8th in Fangraph WAR. They're 6th in FIP. They're 5th in xFIP, and they're 5th in Sierra. But DeGrom has been the huge part of that. So without him, I don't know what to think of this rotation. Sure, I like Eovaldi. I like Perez. I think Gray is fine. I think Heaney, if Heaney is healthy, he is going to be really solid for you. So, but they are going to need DeGrom in this rotation. If he's out, I'm not liking this rotation at all. As for the bullpen, surprisingly enough, this bullpen has actually been pretty decent. They rank 8th in Fangraph WAR right now, and they're 5th in FIP. However, the expected numbers don't look great. The xFIP, they're only 27th, and the Sierra, they're only 19th. So right now they are getting the results, but the long-term picture doesn't look pretty for this the Rangers bullpen. So I'm really undecided about this team right now. There's a lot of ifs going on, and we kind of knew that coming into this year. If this is a team that stays fully healthy, it should be a good team. But right now, I got to be on the fence with the Rangers just because of the health and the bullpen. The projections don't look amazing for the bullpen. Could they add another arm, help out that bullpen a little bit? Sure. We'll have to see where they are at the deadline. But DeGrom is a huge if, and because of those reasons, right now with the Rangers, I'm on the fence. Let's talk about the Seattle Mariners. Off to a bit of a slow start, 11-15, but I don't think Mariners fans should worry too much. If we take a look at the lineup first, now Julio Rodriguez, when it comes to the slash line, not looking amazing. Only hitting 236, a 300 on base, a 445 slugging. He's got 5 homers. He's got 5 stolen bases. I think he'll eventually start getting getting it together a bit more. Now, the one surprising part of this lineup has been Jared Kelenic. My goodness, this guy's been going off this year, hitting .325, a .380 on base, a .663 slugging, 7 homers, 5 stolen bases. Now, this is the real Jared Kelenic. He has finally stood up. My goodness. The offense right now as a whole with the Mariners, it's not looking amazing. They're 22nd in WRC plus and WOBA, and they're only 25th in expected WOBA. So this offense is definitely slumping. You know, Teoscar Hernandez, he's off to a slow start this year. His numbers have been dropping in the last couple of years, so I'm not too surprised about this. They're just not getting the production that they thought they were going to be getting, at least early on. So they're definitely going to have to improve here with the offense. As for the starting pitching, I do really like it. I love Luis Castillo at the top, a 1.82 ERA so far through 34 and 2/3 innings pitched. So love Luis Castillo, one of my favorite pitchers in the game. You did lose Robbie Ray. That is going to be a bit of a blow. He's going to be out for the rest of the year after getting flexor tendon surgery. But I think the Mariners rotation is going to be fine. I love Gilbert. I love Kirby at the back end. Marco Gonzalez has actually been stepping up this year. So overall, I'm not worried about this rotation, and the numbers have been looking really good. They are 5th in Fangraph WAR, they're 5th in FIP, they're 6th in XFIP, and they're 7th in Sierra. So not worried about this Mariners rotation. They've been putting up the good numbers so far this year. And as for the bullpen has been looking pretty good. Andres Munoz is on the IL right now with a strained shoulder, doing a throwing program right now. He's going to be back eventually, but even without him, the bullpen has been looking really good. I love Seawald at the back here. Brash, he's got nasty stuff. That ERA is high, but his FIP is a lot lower. Overall, this bullpen has been producing. If we take a look here, they're 5th overall when it comes to Fangraph WAR. They're 9th in FIP. They're 10th in XFIP. And they're 15th in Sierra, so that's a little lower, but overall, it's the middle of the pack. I think they're going to be completely fine. So I think the pitching is going to be good for the whole year. I would imagine this lineup, you're going to get J-Rod. He's going to start hitting eventually. You're going to have these other guys like Suarez is going to start doing a bit more. Teoscar Hernandez, I would imagine, is going to start doing a little bit more here. You know, who knows? Maybe they could get a bat at the deadline, you know, maybe help out the lineup a little bit. I do think the Mariners, you know, they had a lot of expectations coming into this year. I still am going to consider them for real. It's a good team. It's a talented team. They got prospects as well that could maybe come up and help out. I am for real. If they keep playing the way they're playing, I'm going to start obviously going lower to like on the fence. I'm going to give it another month for the Mariners until I really start to worry. Up next, let's talk about the LA Angels. It's always fun to talk about the Angels because they look great on paper coming into the year, but then they just find a way to tank at some point. But right now, they are holding it together. They're 14-13, a game and a half back in the division. With this lineup has been very good so far, and not just Trout and Ohtani. You're getting other guys stepping up. Renfroe has been a great addition for this lineup. Drury has been hitting really well lately, like Taylor Ward at the top. Anthony Rendon has been showing some signs of getting back to the old Anthony Rendon. So as a whole, really like this lineup overall. You did lose Logan O'Hoppe. I was a little bummed out about that for them. That was a good catcher for them, but they still got a couple other catchers that can get the job done. Overall, lineup looks fantastic. If we take a look here at the rotation, surprisingly enough, this rotation has not been very good other than Ohtani. Coming into this year, I was pretty high on this Angels rotation, but they have just not been producing other than Ohtani. Anderson, he has not been very good so far. Detmers has been pretty good. Sandoval is always a pretty underrated guy, so I like those guys, but Suarez, Canning, these guys aren't really getting it done too much for them. So the rotation has not been inspiring so far this year. If you take a look here at the numbers, they're 20th in Fangraph WAR, they're 20th in FIP, 28th in XFIP, 22nd in Sierra. So the numbers don't look amazing. The expected numbers don't look great. You know, could they maybe add another guy at some point? Maybe. But overall, after Ohtani, you know, Detmers and Sandoval are okay. I'm just not excited about the depth of this rotation. The bullpen has actually been pretty good at the back end. Estevez and Moore have been really good for the Angels so far this year. But you know, other guys have been stepping up a bit, but not too much. If we take a look, actually, the Angels bullpen, they are 4th in Fangraph WAR at the moment, and they are 8th in FIP, but the projected numbers are not painting a good picture for the Angels. They're 24th in XFIP currently, and they're only 21st in Sierra. So I don't know, this Angels team, I don't know, man. It's hard to say what this Angels team is going to be. You know, The lineup, I think, is going to be good all year. Hopefully they stay healthy. The rotation, I'm not sure what they're going to be. Ohtani is going to be fine. The bullpen, I don't know about this bullpen. They look good now, but the expected numbers don't look great. I don't know. With the Angels, I've learned my lesson here. Every time you go with the Angels, they always disappoint you. I'm sorry. I'm going to go not for real with the Angels right now. The projected numbers don't look amazing. The starting pitching as a whole has not looked amazing. The lineup is great, but you need pitching for the Angels right now. I don't know. They just never seem to make me happy. They always fail me. I'm going to go not for real for the Angels. Coming into this year, I said the Diamondbacks were going to be a competitive team and actually had them winning the third wild card this year. And look at what they're doing. They're doing pretty good. 15-12. They're leading the Dodgers and the Padres. Who saw that one coming? I know it's early, but pretty fun to see the Diamondbacks at the top of this division right now. Let's talk about the offense first. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a bit of a weird offense when you take a look at the numbers. I like the lineup. I love Corbin Carroll. I love some of these younger bats like Moreno and Thomas. Jake McCarthy just got sent down recently. He's been struggling, but I think they'll be able to fill it in his spot fine. You got a power bat in Christian Walker. I love Ketel Marte. Rojas is off to a solid start this year. I like the lineup. But when you look at the numbers, it is a little weird. They're 19th in WRC+, 16th in WOBA, 18th in xWOBA. There's a couple of bright spots. They're first in doubles, and they're the third most clutch team this year. And when it comes to even speed, they're 7th in stolen bases, which is pretty good. However, they only have a negative 1.2 base running, so they're just going to have to get better at driving in these runs more, scoring these runs. They're not really creating a lot of runs on the bases despite the stolen bases. They're winning games. They're scoring enough runs despite them not ranking very well offensively. I think they're going to get better as the year goes on. We'll just have to wait and see. It's a weird lineup, but they're getting the job done. As to the starting pitching, they've actually just gotten better with the subtraction of Madison Bumgarner. It's about time they got rid of him. He had just been so bad. He was so good with the Giants. I hope he figures it out with another team at some point, but this team is much better off with him. He was basically just anytime he was starting a game, they were losing that game. But love Zach Gallen here. Love Merrill Kelly. These two are off to great starts this year. Dre Jameson did get sent down recently. He's been having trouble with command, but I think he will be back up at some point. I like Ryan Nelson here. I like the starting pitching with the Diamondbacks, and the numbers are showing they're definitely doing better without Bumgarner. With Bumgarner, overall in the year, they're 17th in Fangraph WAR, 18th in FIP, 21st in xFIP, 27th in Sierra. However, since Bumgarner was DFA'd and released, their FWAR has been 5th overall, 6th overall in FIP. They're 9th in xFIP and 11th in Sierra. So simply an addition by subtraction there. I think they're going to be much better off without Bumgarner. Now, taking a look at the bullpen, they've been better lately, I will say that. Overall in the year, not great numbers. Let's go through these. When it comes to the Fangraph WAR, 28th overall, 28th in FIP, 27th in xFIP. The Sierra ranks 20th, so that's a little better. However, the bullpen in the last week has been much better. 5th in Fangraph WAR. I will say, though, the expected numbers in the last week still don't look great. 18th in xFIP, 19th in Sierra. But one good thing about this team has been the defense. They're the best defensive team in the major leagues this year, and they're second in defensive run saves. So what that's telling me about this Diamondbacks team is they're scoring enough runs to get the job done. The pitching has been way better lately, starting pitching and the bullpen, but they're just preventing runs. So I think that's been the real key with the Diamondbacks so far. If they can keep up this recipe, I think they could absolutely be in contention for a wild card this year. I'm going to stick to that. I will say, though, with the Diamondbacks, I'm a little on the fence. I'm a little worried with the expected numbers in the bullpen. Overall, the bullpen prior to this past week hadn't been amazing really at all. They were one of the worst bullpens in the game, but they have turned it around. The expected numbers still don't look amazing. With the lineup, sure, I would like them to kind of do a bit more here. They are getting the job done right now. If they can just get better in this lineup, I think it's going to be a really good lineup. And I'm okay with the starting pitching. I think the starting pitching is completely fine. But right now, with the Diamondbacks, I'm on the fence. Let's talk about the Baltimore Orioles. They were America's team last year. They were way ahead of expectations. They were competing for a wild card last year. Not a lot of people saw that coming. And there were people out there that were worried they were going to take a step back, kind of like the Tigers did last year. But the Orioles, they are still looking like a strong team here, 17-9 at the time of this recording. And this lineup is looking great. As a Red Sox fan, I hate this lineup. They've been taking it to the Red Sox this year so far, but they've always been that kind of a team. They've always been just this pesky team that they're always hard to beat. And there's a reason for it. This lineup has been just getting contributions all over the place. Overall, they are 7th in WRC+, they're 10th in WOBA, they're 6th in xWOBA, and they're a very fast team as well. They're 3rd in stolen bases, and they're 4th in base running. So they're just doing a lot of things well offensively right now. I love the lineup, and when you got guys like Adley Rutschman, who's off to a great start this year, Cedric Mullins is back to what he was doing a couple of years ago. He was looking great. Santander is providing power. Mountcastle's driving in runs. Sure, Gunnar Henderson's not off to an amazing start this year, but this is a lot of talent here. Adam Frazier, he's been involved in a couple of walk-offs so far with the Orioles this year. Jorge Mateo, I should have talked about him in the beginning. He is off to an amazing start this year. My goodness, he is off to a really hot start. Last year, he was so good defensively. There wasn't too much with the bat. He was getting a lot of stolen bases, but just not really doing a whole lot with the bat. This year, though, he's doing it all, man. Jorge Mateo, he is an awesome player. Even Austin Hayes has been doing pretty good so far this year. This lineup is... There's a reason why this Orioles team is at 17-9, and the big part of it is this offense. They're just a relentless lineup. Now, the starting pitching, I'm not too high on this starting pitching, but they're doing enough, again, to get the job done. If we take a look here at the numbers, they're only 24th in Fangraph WAR. They're 20th in FIP. However, the more advanced numbers do paint a bit of a better picture. They're 14th in XFIP, and they're 16th in Sierra. So where I kind of stand with this Orioles rotation, I think they're fine. Like, I think it's going to be fine for the year. I think they're going to be able to get the job done. They'll get their innings in. Could they add another piece by the deadline? Sure. Maybe they could add like a veteran guy that can give you some innings down the stretch. I could see that. You know, Grayson Rodriguez, this is a guy full of talent, but he's definitely going to take his lick. He's going to take his licks as the year goes on. But overall, I think the rotation is fine. The bullpen, though, this bullpen has been really good. Felix Bautista has been great at the back end here. You got Brian Baker and Cano that are doing a great job at the back end as well. When it comes to the relief pitching, they are 1st in Fangraph WAR on the year as of right now. They're 1st in FIP. They're 7th in XFIP. They're 6th in Sierra. So I am very high on this bullpen for the Orioles. I think the rotation is fine. I think this lineup is relentless. I think it's solid. The one thing I would like for the Orioles to do a little bit better with is defense. They're last right now in defense. They're in the negatives when it comes to defensive runs saved. But we saw with the Phillies last year, a bad defensive team still made it to the World Series, 2 wins away from a World Series championship. I think they'll end up being fine. They got guys that can play defense here. I think those numbers will improve. This Orioles team, I definitely think they're for real. Right now, I mean, when you're looking at the standings, I mean, the Rays, they're probably going to end up running away with this thing unless they just come back down to earth completely over the next month or so. But the fact that the Orioles are right here with the Blue Jays, a couple of games ahead of the Yankees right now, I mean, this Orioles team, you know, should we really be surprised at how well they're doing? It was a good team last year. And the difference with the Tigers is the Tigers, they just tried to jump the gun, and, you know, they tried adding these pieces, and it just hasn't worked out for the Tigers. So I don't know. The Orioles, though, I love what this Orioles team is doing. As a Red Sox fan, I hate it, but this team is definitely for real. Let's talk about the Miami Marlins. Coming into this year, I thought this Marlins team could be pretty fun. Right now, they are pretty fun. 14-13. Now, it's going to come down to the Braves and the Mets for this division, but I think the Marlins will hang around for a wild card. This is a good team. Now, let's take a look at the lineup. I think this lineup is fun. I love all the different kind of bats that you have in here. Luis Ariz has been awesome. Jazz Chisholm obviously is just really fun to watch. Brian De La Cruz has been stepping up this year. Jorge Soler, the power has been coming back for him. You know, Gene Segura hasn't fully gotten it going yet, but this is a bat. I think he'll end up figuring it out. I like this lineup, but the numbers aren't great with the lineup. If you take a look here, they're 22nd in WRC plus and WOBA, and they're only 25th in expected WOBA. So when it comes to just the lineup as a whole, I'm not high on the numbers. You know, sure, they got some fun bats here, but how good is this lineup going to be when all is said and done? I don't know. I'm not too high on it. Sure, I like some of these names in here, but when it comes to just overall production, I'm not quite sure about this Marlins lineup. Now, for the starting pitching, I love the starting pitching. Sandy Alcantara, obviously, the Cy Young winner from last year at the top. Braxton Garrett's been looking pretty good. Jesus Luzardo's been looking pretty good. Edward Cabrera's had a couple of moments so far this year. I like the starting pitching. Now, when you take a look at the numbers when it comes to the starting pitching, right now, they're around the middle of the pack. They're 13th in Fangraph WAR. They're 12th in FIP, 13th in XFIP, 15th in Sierra. So I think this Marlins starting pitching is going to be really strong for the rest of the year. But the bullpen has not been looking amazing. Now, AJ Puck has been a sight for sore eyes, for this Marlins bullpen. He's been stepping up as the closer this year. He's been great. But other than that, they're not getting a whole lot. Now, Matt Barnes, he's had a couple of outings that are pretty good, but he has, for the most part, just not been very effective. You got Dylan Floro here, Tanner Scott, a couple of decent names, but the bullpen, in my opinion, is just pretty weak overall, and the numbers suggest so as well. 25th in Fangraph WAR, 29th in FIP, 25th in XFIP, 22nd in Sierra. When I'm looking at this team as a whole, the offense, sure, there's some fun pieces, but it doesn't excite me as a whole. The bullpen is worrisome to me. The numbers don't look good. The expected numbers don't look good. The starting pitching is fine. I think this is a team that can hang around, but I don't think this is a team that is for real, to actually be a playoff team yet. I think they're still about a year away, maybe 2. But I think for right now, I'm going to put them not for real. And last but not least, let's talk about my Red Sox. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of Red Sox teams over the years, and this team is one of the more confusing ones. It's all over the place. There's good things about this team, and then there's just some not so good things about this team. But let's start off with a good part. Let's talk about the offense. Now, they did lose Adam Duvall. That was a pretty big blow, especially with what he was doing in the early parts. He was looking like Barry Bonds before he went down. And, hopefully he'll be back by the end of the year. But without him, I was a little worried. However, they've been having some guys stepping up, mainly Jarren Duran. He has been fantastic. He had a bad year last year, but he reworked his swing in the offseason. He has been dynamite for the Red Sox so far. Devers is Devers. Turner's been getting it going recently. Yoshida has been getting it going a lot recently. Verdugo has been a very nice surprise. I thought he would be fine, but I didn't think he would be this good. He's been looking pretty good this year overall out of the leadoff spot. Kike Hernandez, he's starting to look healthy again. He's looking like what he was looking like a couple of years ago. Maybe not quite there, but he is looking pretty solid for the most part. Cassis is a little slow to start right now. I think he's going to end up getting it together a bit. We'll have to just wait and see. He's still hitting for a few home runs. If we take a look at the numbers overall, he's got 3 on the year so far. I think he will get it going. I think he'll end up finishing with around 20 or so. But overall, this lineup, I think, has been pretty solid. And here are the numbers. They're 12th in WRC+, they're 12th in WOBA, and they're 10th in xWOBA when it comes to running the bases. Now, they're only 28th in stolen bases, but they are 8th in base running. So they're definitely creating runs on the bases, despite not really stealing a whole lot of bases. I think it's fine. I think this is going to be a lineup that is going to score runs. I don't think you have to worry about this lineup very much. Now, the rotation. This is where it gets a little iffy. Now, Chris Sale, he is very up and down right now. He has one bad start, one good start, one bad start, one good start. I think he will be fine. He's still getting the strikeout numbers, so I think he will get it together a bit. I don't think he's going to be the old Chris Sale, but I think he'll be solid enough, like a mid-3 to low-4 ERA kind of a guy. Corey Kluber, I'm going to be honest with you. I am worried about Corey Kluber because this is a guy over the last couple of years, he's had to rely on weak contact. And if he doesn't have that, he is pretty much toast. And right now, he is not getting the weak contact. The expected numbers for him don't look good at all. I wonder if he could be a DFA candidate at some point. We'll have to wait and see. Tanner Houck has been a nice surprise for this rotation. He has been stepping up. I thought he was going to be more of a bullpen guy, but he has been looking pretty good. 4.50 ERA, but the FIP is lower. I think Tanner Houck is going to be in this rotation for the rest of the year. Pivetta, he's been once again up and down. He's going to give you innings, but this is what he is. He's going to be a guy he's going to give you a couple of good starts. He's going to give you a couple of bad starts as well. Brian Bayo, he has been a little up and down here so far this year. He's still working on some things. He did get optioned down to the minors, but he is back up now. So this rotation is definitely iffy. I'm not quite sure what it is exactly. And they also just lost Garrett Whitlock. He's going to be out for quite a while. He's got ulnar neuritis. So there have been guys that have had that before and they've come back fine. But then there's been some other guys where, like Jeffrey Springs, he got diagnosed with that and then ended up needing Tommy John. Garrett Whitlock has had Tommy John before. So it's, I don't know. It's got to be a wait and see on that one. You do have a couple of guys, you got Paxton, you got a couple of other guys down in the minors. Who knows what Paxton is going to end up doing? Could Brian Mata end up coming up at some point and helping? I don't know. But overall, the rotation, it's a little iffy. The numbers are not very good at the moment for the rotation. Overall, they are 28th in Fangraph WAR. They're 27th in FIP, but the XFIP is 17th overall, and the Sierra is 18th. So the projected numbers look better than what the actual numbers are right now. So who knows? Maybe it could be a different story, maybe about halfway through the season. It's just going to be a wait and see. The bullpen is fine. The bullpen has been really solid. Kenley Jansen, he's been a good addition for the Red Sox so far. They needed a closer like him. They needed someone that can just come in at the end of the game. You didn't have to worry about who's going to come in, and you knew you were going to have a guy that could get the job done. Schreiber, Winkowski's been a nice surprise. These two have been great in setup roles. Brazier, the ERA doesn't look very good, but the FIP, with him, the advanced numbers are always going to look better with him. Caleb Ort, I think he's going to get DFA'd at some point or get sent back down to the minor leagues. Overall, the bullpen, I think the bullpen's fine, and the numbers say so as well. They're 15th in Fangraph WAR, and they're 14th in Sierra. The XFIP does not look good at 28th, but the Sierra ranking 14th overall, that makes me feel a lot better. So overall, with this Red Sox team, I just don't know what this team is. I think I need another month or so to really figure it out. I'm on the fence. I think this is a team that could get hot, but then they could very quickly go down to not for real. We'll have to just wait and see. But this is what I'm thinking about these teams so far. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do you disagree with the teams that I think are for real? On the fence, not for real? Do you think the Angels or the Marlins could be on the fence, or do you think they're for real? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But everyone, that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.